Welcome back to Booze Bros and Cars, your favorite podcast about booze and cars, and we're your hosts. I'm Eric.
I'm Mike.
I'm Carmelo.
Nick.
All right, of course, first up, we're always going to be talking about what we're going to be drinking tonight. So I have a beer from Corporate Ladder. I know we've been drinking Corporate Ladder recently, or often, because we took a trip up there a couple weeks ago, but this is their fruit station. It's their Fruit Bowl number 2. It's actually really good. It's a dessert beer conditioned with granola, raspberry, strawberry, cinnamon, and toasted coconut. It's actually really good. I took a sip of it and it tastes amazing, like always. And the second beer is going to be, you know what? Pumpkin beer has been coming out since like last month. So you know what I'm going to drink today? I'm going to drink a Christmas beer. Because why not, right?
Like it's
St. Bernard Christmas Ale. Because let's fucking start Christmas in October. Why not, right? All right, Mike, what do you got lined up for tonight?
so I got two beers. First one I'm having, which I just cracked, is this is Angry Chair Brewing out of Tampa.
Ooh.
This is their Space Grass. This is a New England IPA. This is one of their flagship beers that they have always available. Super cool can label. You know, they're really metal. A lot of skulls and dead things, which is that's cool. Second one is also a Corporate Ladder beer. This is one that I brought back, not the trip that we were there a couple weeks ago, but about a month before that. This is the Tiki Sour. So it's a pina colada, gluten-free sour conditioned on pineapple and coconut. 8.5% alcohol by volume. So gonna be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me know how that one is. That one actually looks pretty delicious, man. Because it sounds like you said, it sounds like a pina colada.
I'll let you know on the recap. I've already had that before. I got a 4-pack when I was up there, and I might have already tried it. But yeah, I'll talk about it here in a little bit. So,
Cool.
Carmelo,
Cool.
what are you having?
So for episode 11, I'm trying something a little different. I don't think it's something we've covered yet in the podcast, being about brews. I know we've covered beer, we've covered whiskey, we've talked about bourbons. So I'm going to bring in wine. Being the Italian, wine is our thing.
All right.
So this here is something a little different. It's an ice wine. It's a little bougie, a little sweet.
Hard to call that Italian.
The wine, sir. And funny enough,
Okay.
Ice wine goes back to the Roman Empire, early hundreds AD. I'm sorry. From 0 to 100, give or take, the Romans harvested wine. There was a bad winter. They harvested grapes, froze them, and that's how they made the white wine. So while this blend is Canadian, this it has Italian heritage, right? Roman heritage. So I figure I'll give something new a little bit, something different, and we'll see how it goes. Just to be a little extra bougie.
I do like a good ice wine. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So to be a little bit extra bougie, I froze a couple grapes, threw them in.
Oh, look at you!
There you go.
Look
Okay.
at you!
So
Wow!
I mean, that went from potentially trashy with ice cubes to bougie with grapes. I like it.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna
have-
go cut up a pineapple right now. I'll be back.
keep it upside
Just
down.
kidding.
All right. Look.
Hey.
Yeah. Right.
Pinky
All
up,
right.
gentlemen. Pinky
I have,
up.
yes. I was just gonna make that request. I was gonna hope that you would drink that the whole podcast with you pinky up.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm drinking tonight.
Nice.
I haven't had this blend before, other than I did have a taste prior to us going live. Pretty good. Nick, what do you got tonight?
I got a few things stacked up. One is the Lagavulin that I was trying to polish off last week and did not do. There was actually a second glass worth in there. I'm going to work on polishing that off this week. Currently cracked open and drinking nice Dogfish Head. This is their 120-minute IPA. Yes, I've always
nice.
seemed to have a couple of these hiding in the back of the fridge. So it's nice to find one every now and then.
You always know by the bottle cap.
Yeah, that's the bright neon yellow green bottle cap and the gold label give it away.
Yep.
But if anyone doesn't know, it's an Imperial IPA, 120 minutes. The hops are steep. So it is a very hoppy, bitter IPA. As far as I know, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure this is their longest steep, is their 120, unless I've missed one. I think this would be considered a quadruple IPA, technically, wouldn't it?
I mean, it all depends on the ABV.
Kind of curious now. What is the ABV on these damn things? I know it's up there.
They're high. It's like 10 plus, I think.
I don't know. I'll figure that one out later.
Yeah,
Because
it's 10 plus, but yeah, I mean,
it's not fair.
So
And then,
the 120 minutes of crazy IPA. That's just a long time for hops to be in a kettle. So
and it's delicious. If your heart is as dark and bitter as mine, you'll love it. And then a little Omegang, Three Philosophers, my backup.
Oh man, that's a good beer.
Dude, I haven't had it in so long. I saw a
That's
4-pack
a
at Farmer
quad,
Joe's.
man. God damn,
Yeah,
you got
I saw
some
4-pack at Farmer Joe's, and I just had to grab it. It's been a while, so
Yeah,
I've got one of those
good
keeping
beer.
cold on the side. But yeah, that's it. A couple heavy beers and a scotch today because we hit a brewery up earlier. Took a little detour to Miami and had a couple lower ABV beers, and I need to catch up now. So
That was a fun trip. Especially
that was a good impromptu trip.
Yeah, especially that dude. I got left, or I was very impressed by that one place, Julia and Henry.
Dude, Julia and Henry, yeah,
dude, that place is so awesome. I mean, I've seen that place quite a bit on Instagram, but actually seeing it in person, like it's actually pretty impressive, man.
We did a terrible job. We should have taken some pictures.
I took a couple. I didn't take a lot though.
Well, like with humans in them, like us in them and stuff like that. Yeah. But hey, we did get some pictures of at least 3 of the cars on the podcast. So
yeah, we did.
The patriotic 3 got together this morning.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Carmelo.
The Mustang is alive and well. I took her out yesterday.
There you go.
Nice.
Put about 30 miles on her, and I'm never gentle. I drive within the law, but I'm never gentle on her.
You are the law, so what does that mean?
Whoa, sir.
30 miles.
Calm it down.
Can I just say, and this is going off the cusp here. I after we met this morning for the little cars and coffee thing that we did, I came home. I took my son. We had to go to the store, buy a bunch of shit. Spent way too much money on nothing because that's how it is these days. Everything costs a ridiculous amount of money for nothing. But I came home and I had to change the oil in my Elantra. It had been a while since I changed the oil, and I realized after doing some math, after an entire year, I put 1,100 miles on my Elantra Sport. That's it. 1,100 miles after. Sorry, not a year. 10 months. 10 months. I've 1,100 miles. It's like, my God, that's just so terrible.
Should I tell you how many miles I've put on my Corvette?
I don't even do. Probably triple that.
Go ahead, and I'll tell you how many miles the Frontier has. And I got that a month ago, 2 months ago. Yeah.
All right, so I've put on so far a little over 10,000 miles. It's probably been like 10,000, like 500 miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Since when?
Since I bought the car September 3rd is the day that I picked her up from the dealership.
So about a year.
A little over a year because we're now.
You've driven all the way up to North Carolina at least once.
I did.
So that's man, it's such a shame. I drive my 2 cars so little.
So
but you're paying like 0% on the Hyundai. Like it's not.
I am, and it's just about paid off. And like that's my biggest problem is like I really want something faster and better and bigger and whatever. But I'm not going to pay through the interest rates are insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't justify anything. So I'm just going to soak up that payment, put it in the bank for a little bit, not long.
A little bit.
I owe like $3,000 on that thing. Once it's paid off, I'm just going to let it ride for a couple months, 6 months, 8 months, see what happens.
I've had the ST now for about 4.5 months. And I just clicked over 8,600 today.
God damn.
Oh, Jesus,
there was a trip to
Philly. Put 1,000 miles on my car in a year.
Into Philly and back.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot.
Carolinas and Tennessee. So that was a 3,000 mile trip probably.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
in the course of a week. So I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
that's in there as well.
I
but,
forgot you drove that up there. Honestly,
So even the Nissan I just checked. I bought it 2 months ago, July
Been that long?
22nd,
has
26th.
it been that long?
Yeah, I've had it. I just made my second payment, so it'd be with the initiation my third lease payment. I have 2,200 miles, 2,197 on it, and I drive that car like solely on the weekends. My 2 to 3 days off a week, not counting my work vehicle and my Mustang and then the wife's car.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah, I
you
feel
need
like
to
every
give
time
your
we go
car
out
more
someplace,
love.
you take the wife's car.
Huh?
Me? Or Mike?
What was that?
I think that
I
Mike
said-
needs to give his car more love.
Yeah, I said Mike needs to give his cars more love.
Yeah.
Dude, so I have I have 3 cars. I have a company vehicle that I drive every weekday. I
Mhm.
get in, drive to work, come home. I drive it to and from work and during work.
Mhm.
And then I have 2 cars to sit in my garage and hopefully get some love on the weekends. It sucks. I mean, I realize that it sucks. That's why I want to get rid of one and then trade in the other one and get something that I really enjoy driving and stupid fast.
Something that'll urge you to drive it.
Yeah, it's
One-
just it does. It used to be awesome having 2 cars because I used to drive one. Nick, you know this better than anybody else, but I had an Infinity that I drove at work every day, and it had a big thirsty V8 that got 14 miles to the gallon, and it sucked. And that was when gas was cheap. That was, I mean, gas was really cheap back then. Now, and then I just got tired of the gas mileage. Got the Elantra Sport. It's got 200 horsepower, tiny little turbo, and the gas mileage is great, but it's just lethargic. It's not really fun to drive. But you helped me with that, and I appreciate that because you got me
according to
what I
lap
wanted.
3, according to lap 3, it could be fun to drive. So,
Well, it's a
And it's paid
1.6.
off, but it's paid off,
And
right?
it's paid off, yeah. And it only has 36,000 miles on it, so
Why not?
God, that's
why
it.
not do
Maybe.
it, man?
no, it's got more than that.
maybe. No,
No, I sold it to you at 44,000 on it.
no, that was brand new, bro. What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking the Miata for a sec. Yeah. No,
Oh,
sorry.
the Elantra's brand. It was brand new when I bought it. It had like 37 miles on it when I drove it off your lot. But
Yeah.
I need your help
Yeah.
with this, Mike. Go for a K swap.
for the Miata, when the Elantra's paid off, maybe. I don't know. I'm not opposed to fucking around with the Miata now, just because getting a new car is so fucking expensive. Everything is just absurd.
Yeah.
Prices are high and interest rates are insane. So it's like, now I'm back to shopping for turbos. Like I really would love to get a flying Miata turbo kit for it. It's fully bolt on. You get a, all you need is tuning software and you're done. But like you're talking 6 to 8 grand probably
K
by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Well, come on over. Let's pull the motor out.
Hey,
Let's
you guys
pull-
know a few weeks
let's-
ago I did it on a Chevy. Did it on
let's-
a
let's-
59 Mero. How hard can
let's-
it be?
Let's pull a Nick and
Cheers
just
to
cut the let's cut the wiring harness and just pull everything out.
There's a difference now, though. I know better. I learned my lesson. I also have an engine hoist that I can bring over. You just need
All right.
the load leveler, and we can yank that bitch.
You know,
I
don't
lost my
know.
load leveler.
I might be able
I'm
to
all
get
over
one
the
for my
place,
buddy
man.
with the Chevy.
I also am really into the idea of possibly doing a kart. I keep
Wait,
thinking
no,
about it,
not
man.
That Miata, you can't.
What's
do
that?
Miata.
What's that kit car that they make for the
Exo set?
Miata?
It's
Yeah,
an
the
exo
Exo
set. Yeah.
Dude, we know somebody locally that's got one. You should drive his before you jump off any crazy conclusions.
That's fair.
No, we don't know anybody that has an exo set.
Yeah. Sergio from Track Prep Performance, him and John Casco out of Fort Myers, the BMW sales manager.
BMW. Yeah,
They have a
He's at Germain.
joint ownership on them, on one.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
It may spend a lot of time in St. Pete, where Sergio lives.
Sergio lives.
John drives it sometimes. So I think they bring it down because they autocross it too. They take it to the Gulf Coast.
So those things are rad, man. But I'd rather have a fully. I'd rather have a fully built like turbo Miata.
Well,
like
yeah,
something.
Sergio's supercharged Miata rips way harder than the Exocet does. That thing is on rails. It's amazing.
You can't get a supercharger anymore. I mean, you can't. Like and that's part of the problem. Is I
found some used ones out there in good condition and rebuilt and stuff. But yeah, it's to find a new one, a new kit.
It's hard to find, man.
Because a lot of guys are running the Jackson Racing ones, and they don't make them.
Yeah, no,
and they seem to be one of the better ones.
Can you send them?
Yes.
Can you send it to Jackson Racing and get them overhauled?
I don't even know. I doubt it.
How hard is it to overhaul a twin screw? Is it a twin screw? No, it's a centrifugal. So it's like a turbo. It's like rebuilding a turbo. Yeah. How hard could it be?
It's not hard.
It is a centrifugal.
Vortec does it.
Yeah.
Vortec does them for the older Mustangs because my body style, they stopped making the old 5-liter supercharged kits. Mm-hmm. And so if I buy one, I can send it off, and it's like, I don't know, $1,500, $2,000, somewhere in that ballpark to get it serviced. And they basically go through it, treat it as a, rebuild everything from the inside, realign it, send it out. So it's almost like a new unit minus the housing.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of guys are doing. Like the upgraded turbo option for my Explorer is all fresh internals. You send them your cores, they freshen everything up, beef up the internals. Mm-hmm. Same with the turbo upgrade I'm looking for the Genesis. It's an Elantra N turbo they take from factory, strip it, and then put in some new build internals with bigger wheels. And
I mean, if you guys remember, that's how it used to be with the Speed 3. I mean, they've been doing this since like the early 2000s. There's a lot of companies that will just pull the guts out of a turbo, put a bigger fan in it, and make 10, 15% more boost on the actual same turbo housing. Yeah,
exactly. Are you talking about BNR?
Yes,
that's the turbo that I had on my on my Speed 3.
BNR made bespoke turbos. Like they made larger, like upgraded turbos, but they also, I think they made like a stuffed turbo kit. Golly, I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's my Elantra or if it's the Miata. I think there's like an escargot kit, which is, a play on a snail.
Yeah.
But I think that's, maybe that's like the Mazda Speed Miata. You can get an escargot kit from.
I've seen Lap 3. That's their like lower level.
I think that's turbo. The Elantra. I think that's the Elantra.
Yeah. That's their lower level, and then the Garrett I think they use on the big boys.
Yeah. So you basically take off your turbo, you send it in, and they escargot it, which is essentially they pull the guts out, restuff it with bigger fan. It basically moves more air in the actual turbine housing, and then they send it back to you. You bolt it on and retune, and you're good. Now, when you do something like that, it's not a huge horsepower improvement. I mean, you're talking 75 horsepower, maybe 50 to 75, I would say.
That's a lot though for the Elantra. I mean, think about
you got to think it's a stock turbo housing, so yeah, I mean, it's only a 200 horsepower. So if you get up to 275 with a stuffed turbo.
But then you're going to run into some other reliability issues. And, what is it? The oversteer? The boost oversteer?
You're going to have a torque steer for sure.
Torque steer.
Whichever side's got the shorter axle, you're going to run into a little bit of that. But, the Speed 3 was terrible for that. We all were used to that, so.
Yeah, but it was fun. Yeah. I love torque steer on the Speed 3. Yeah, no, it's just like when you launched that thing, it was like,
I know where I was going. Yeah. It was oncoming traffic every single time. It was always making a left turn. It was just like harder left.
Yeah. My God, it was so much fun though.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a problem until I let John tune it, and he woke that son of a bitch up. Dude, that thing was rowdy. And I didn't even have an upgraded turbo in my wife's. That thing was just rowdy with a tune and some basic bolt-ons.
Mm-hmm.
So I will admit, I don't miss that, but the other day I got a weird nostalgic feeling because I've been playing around with the idea of another toy, and I saw it sounded like a heavily modded Speed 6 because I like my sedans. I like my sedans, dude.
Speed 6?
I've heard this
Dude, I
thing.
fucking love those cars, man. And they were all-wheel drive, yeah.
Yeah, this thing sounded raw. Like, it sounded gnarly. It was coming out of the Sandbar Grill or that area because I was coming in as he was coming out. Like
the
white
Colonial.
Yeah, and he just got on it and it just sounded rowdy. I could hear turbos a light up. It was got me a little excited, maybe a little half chub.
I miss that car, man.
Mazda Speeds in general are just fun, man. Even like the main models were a blast to drive.
What's the current day? What is a current day Speed 3?
It's the no. I mean, Mazda has created a Mazda 3 Turbo again, and it's 250 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds torque, but it's an automatic. Yeah, you can only get an auto.
It's the Toyota, the Corolla, I think, because it's hotter than a GTI is not tuned up enough from the factory, where the GR comes out and it's just like it's hot right out of the factory, and I think that's the modern day speed. GR? Yeah, because I think the Speed 3 was
270.
270,
yeah, I think 267, 270
torque.
But that was, and I think that may have been shy. I don't know if I've ever seen fresh factory dynos, like somebody buying one and run right to the dyno. I think because those numbers, like the 267 or whatever they said it was, is very reminiscent from the 90s Supras, GTRs, and stuff like that. They were all underrepresented. They were actually running higher than that. I think the Mazda Speed 3 is truly a factory higher.
Honestly, as you all know, we've all owned Mazda Speed 3s, like those cars are pretty fucking quick, man. Like if you took year for year, like mine was an '08. I can't tell you how many times I walked an '08 Mustang or an '08 Camaro or something with way larger displacement, and just ate it up, and that's it was awesome. Miss that car. Should have never got rid of it, but it was to the point where it was just there was so much money that had to be put into it to make it right again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you get the VVT stuff towards the end.
At this point, no.
If I found a low mile one for the right money,
2013 maybe
unmodified Gen 2, good miles, I would consider it. But
first gen like mine. Mine was an 08.5, and no way. At that point, I guarantee none of the people that have bought that, for their second, third, fourth owner have taken care of it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, even mine.
I had a 3-inch intake. It was Cobb tuned. We did so much to ours.
Even mine.
Because I thought I blew the turbos.
Mine popped up for sale from somebody in Lehigh. And I went on and I looked at it, and I'm like, golly, there's fender damage to the front clip. The bumper looks like crap. The windows are it's just like the whole thing just looks like shit. The interior looks terrible. I'm like, golly, it's just so sad. And that was my car. Like, I knew it. It had the same wheels. It had the rally armor flaps on it. It had the HKS exhaust, HKS exhaust, I can't even imagine what an HKS exhaust costs these days. Probably $2,000. I paid $700 for that thing back in the day in 2009.
Wow, that's so cheap.
Dude, so funny enough, I knew a buddy of mine worked for Injuku Racing in Orlando. Orlando, right, Eric?
Yeah, they're based in Orlando.
So a buddy of mine worked for Injuku. And they ordered it, and I got like a stupid good price on it. They shipped it right to my door, and that was honestly, out of all the car modifications I bought ever in my life, that was like the perfect fitment. That thing was awesome. I love that.
I just went to cars.com and searched for 23 Mazda Speed 3s, and I kind of regret doing it because there's a lot of low mile ones for 13 to 15 grand.
Oh, don't do it, man. It's 13 grand, but then you're gonna have to put 6 to 8 grand just doing VVT, probably suspension work.
One of these sub 16 grand, 60,000 miles.
Doesn't matter, man. You're gonna have to do a lot of work to it.
You guys ready for I can't imagine what I'll find on Facebook and how destroyed they'll be.
Oh, they're gonna be clapped out as hell.
How much was the Mazda Speed 3 in like 2012?
So my wife had a GT, and I
Mine
did
was
pull the sticker, and I want to say it
22.6.
was. I want to say hers new was 32 or 33 with the tech pack.
33? No.
Wow, that's a lot.
No.
What year
Come
was yours,
on.
Nick?
No, that's not what we
'Cause I had a
paid for.
20
I'm
I
saying
had a
new when we
2012.
pulled the sticker. I want to say hers was about 32 MSRP when it was new with tech pack loaded up.
What year was it? Because mine was the sport, so it was the base,
Well,
and it was like a $3,000 difference, and it was I think 22 or 24 for the base, and
hers
another
was a
two.
GT tech pack, and I want to say it stickered at 32. Now we bought it used.
So my 2008, and it was a 2008.5. It looks like it's stickered for 24,650, which that's nothing. I mean, what is the new Corolla GR?
Yeah.
35.
I just looked at them, 38,
40-ish.
38
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
for the
like,
core.
come on, so stupid. It's like everything else these days, though. You know,
Well, yeah.
I mean,
What doesn't-
here's a clean.
what
there's a
doesn't
red
cost
12.
$20,000 more than it used to?
Bidenomics.
Hmm.
I
I
mean,
think for mine, I
sorry,
paid
we're not
like
political.
low. Yeah. I think for mine, I paid like low 20 because I bought mine used, but it was like mine was only a year old like when I bought it. So
Yeah, yours was pretty new. I remember mine was a dealer car. I bought mine from Nick. You'd probably know this before I do. There was a Mazda dealership in Fort Myers before O'Brien took it over. It was, I think, it was
Sam-
Sam,
It was
Sam Galloway.
Because that's who I bought.
So-
I bought mine from that dealership.
So when I bought mine from Sam Galloway, and yeah, it didn't have like I remember it didn't have formats in it. I was like, what? Like it doesn't. This car doesn't come with formats, and I'm like, all right. So I had to like order that on top of buying the car. But like bought the car. It only had it had like 2,000 miles on it, but they said it was I think it was a dealer car. Like somebody from the dealership was driving it. Like a demo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a demo car. It had like these disgusting graphics on the side and everything, and I pulled all that off. Yeah, man. It's good times. Back in the day.
Man, I
I
had
mean,
a great
shit,
buying
that's-
experience with them.
That's how we all met.
Yeah.
Speed
is.
threes.
yeah, that's how it all started.
And to think I
Here we are.
an RX-8 R3 for basically the same money. They were trying to get it off. It was a car they had for like 8 months. And their sticker was like 29. They're like, we'll give it to you for sticker on the Speed 3. And almost did it, but happy I didn't, or else I wouldn't have met you guys. So
Yeah.
Good way to look at it.
What you got, Nick?
Oh, nothing. I'm going down a rabbit hole. Just ignore me. Yeah, I'm spending money over here. Just ignore me.
I thought you
What do you buy-
found like a
what are you buying?
clean speed 3 or
I
something.
mean, I found a really
Twin turbo
clean-
kit?
I found a really clean 13 Mazda Speed 3 GT tech pack for about $15,900 in Jersey.
Jersey.
2012. I don't know what trim it is. There's a 2012 for 12 grand, 120,000 miles. Red.
There's
in
a
Bradenton.
bunch out there not in bad
And it was clean.
situations.
Engine shot. None of the
Again,
bolts look like they've been touched.
None of this matters. If Genesis corporate, now that they have my case, can get me a transmission, my wonky second gear, which is a one-off, not a Genesis quality issue. It's a weird something wrong.
So
If they can get that for me, I'm going lap 3 Elantra and upgraded turbo, lap 3 ECU, and I'm just going to send it. But if they can't, then I'll look into a new toy.
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What as far as the Genesis goes,
Yeah.
like what's the number one reason you're keeping that?
Really, the fact is, if you look for a manual transmission car that's rear-wheel drive, ignore the Brembos, the LSD in the rear, and all that kind of shit. A manual transmission rear-wheel drive car, four-door, again, I have kids, two
Sedan.
kids, and stuff like that. Yeah, sedan. You can't find one I bought this car. Now I worked
That's
for
fair.
Genesis at the time. I got a screaming deal because it was the 21s were coming out as I got my 20 right off our showroom floor. So I got a hell of a deal as an employee, plus some great rebates and stuff like that. But aside from all that, it was a 39,950 MSRP, sub 40,000 for a rear wheel drive. Let's call it near luxury because it was based on a base model G70 and just built up with a lot of the nicer stuff. But they put a 6-speed manual, a limited slip differential, Brembo brakes front and rear. They put the bigger sound system. They deleted the sunroof to save weight and increase rigidity. They built a great 4-door little track car, but not a huge power plant because you only got the 2-liter. But if you look at a comparable version of that today, you're looking. I mean, you're not going to even get an AT or a CT4 V Blackwing for less than 65.
No.
Let's be real. Markups on them.
Oh my god, they're so expensive.
Right. Anything else are the M's, the M3, M4.
Yeah.
You're talking $40,000 more for a comparable car right now. I think it was the last fun, somewhat affordable rear-wheel drive 6-speed manual sedan on the market before everything went to 80 plus grand for a performance car. So am I missing the power those guys have? Absolutely. Could I throw $5,000 at it and have it almost 400 wheel horsepower? Yeah, and that would be plenty. But this is, again, I got a wonky second gear. Works great daily driving it, but the moment you get a little aggressive, right around 4,200 RPM is the sweet spot. It'll grind and it'll lock you out of second gear going up or downshifting going down.
Really?
Yeah, so
damn.
That's if you ever hear me at autocross, I chirp in a second because of the way I got to hit it right before 4,200 RPMs. It was the rear wheels, the way the torque is just chirp real quick, and it goes in fine. But if I'm not careful, I got to grind. I got to fight it back in a second, and it slows me down. So it's, again, this is like a one-off issue. I know I'm in a group with a bunch of manual people. They've had some other little issues. You know, I have a random misfire issue, which I'm pretty sure is just my dumbass not properly gapping my new spark plugs. So I'm pretty sure it's my fault, but I've tracked it back now. It's not my JB4 tuner. I'm pretty sure it's a spark plug because I've tested everything except for changing the spark plugs. But yeah, a wonky second gear. Genesis has had that thing on back order since July or August of last year. So it's kind of a problem. I extended my lease with hopes they'd fix it because my rate is sub 1%, and I love the car. My wife loves the car. We don't want to let it go. It's our extra car now. But if they can't guarantee me a transmission by January, I'm gonna sell it or turn it back in and just walk away from it.
So I was gonna say, when can you consider that a lemon? Because I know you've been dealing with this for a while. Like,
so at this
year.
point for me, because I'm in my extension now, it wouldn't even be that because it's not in the shop. It drives fine. It would be hard to consider a lemon. But really, the main reason is because I'm in a lease extension, so I'm month to month. I can just dump it on Genesis whenever I want at this point. I can not make my next payment and just drop it at the dealership and have them ground it and be done. I don't want to do that because I have to then remove coilovers and put the factory suspension on, and the intake and the piggyback tuner. That's easy. That's 30 minutes, and those are both off. It's really the suspension that's a little bit of a work, but it's still 4 or 5 hours of work. No big deal. I kept everything originals all lined up, stacked up, ready to go if it has to. But yeah, it's a shame. I wouldn't be able to replace it, frankly. Like I've been showing you guys pictures. I've been looking at 06 to 08 M5s if I need to replace it. I've been looking at Carmelo, oddly enough, what you sent me. I'm following that auction on Cars and Bids right now. That GTSC 4-door. I'm following it right now.
I saw that. It's manual swapped. I'm like, Nick, I found your next car. It's
a 6-speed too. It's a more it's a RB25. I've been following that since that auction started. I've been following it.
It's so cheap right now.
A 97 M3 right now. I'm following a couple things. One thing I will say, I will shout out to Genesis. I reached out. The dealership I use, Tamiami, they're great. They've done as much as they can. They can't help with a part issue. When it's an issue like that.
That face was awesome. I don't know what just happened next to your on your left side, Nick, but it was great.
Yeah, so they've been great. I reached out to Genesis customer care via their portal. Sometime last week. Within 12 hours, I had a phone call. And
Wow.
12 hours after that, I was elevated to national headquarters for the situation. So, and they expect I hear from a national person in 3 to 5 days. So that should be sometime in the first half of this week. So they've been great with that. I'm in that path right now, waiting to see what happens if they sit there and say, listen, we found one hiding in South Korea, and we can get it over here. But it looks like the dealership put in for me to get a new clutch and a new transmission last year. I've got the repair order for it. It's a waiting game. And if they can fix that for me, I'll move on. We'll beef the power up. But right now, sending more power to a faulty second gear probably won't end well.
Zoom, zoom, boom.
So
maybe they'll just accidentally send you $50,000 and be like, oops. There you go.
Significantly more than I paid for the car. I would love that, but I highly doubt that would be a
You never know.
common accident.
I mean, that's probably what a transmission costs these days with the current state of affairs going on in the world.
I mean, maybe if I had like a CT5V Blackwing, maybe, but
Golly. Do you remember driving the CT4 Blackwing at Sebring? Damn, that thing was so much fun.
Oh yeah,
Just
that
like-
was a blast.
For the brief amount of time we drove it, that thing was awesome.
one of those. Well, here's the problem. I've got 2 daily drivers. We just both 23s, a Bronco and an Explorer ST. So I'm not spending that kind of money for a third car. I'm looking to be sub 20 if I need to replace it. And preferably something that warranty doesn't matter anymore. They don't care to modify. So there's a lot of potential stuff out there. As much as I knock old German cars, they're fun. Got one sitting in the garage. And hell, now
Why don't you-
my used
Here's
car
an
manager
idea.
is getting on me. No, my used car
Here's
manager
an idea.
just sell your G70 and start working on your Porsche. now
Here-
one of my coworkers is getting on me about the damn
I
thing.
have an idea for you.
Oh boy.
Greg, who you met,
Yeah.
sends me ideas all the time because I've talked about how I love the Chevy SS, right?
Yeah.
Have you looked at like Chevy
Caprice,
Caprice
Yeah.
police trade-ins?
police car, yeah.
Dude, they're sub 20 grand, 400 horsepower V8.
And
I mean,
it doesn't look like
they-
that. It looks just like the G8 from Pontiac because that's what it was based on.
They do. They really
Yeah.
do. And like the interior is trash, but apparently they're really easy to swap out with a lot. You can swap
sure.
that out for a lot of things. The interior is the biggest struggle with that, but you essentially have a G8 for
Right.
20 grand, probably, if that. I mean, I've seen some auctions where those things are going for even cheaper than that.
So
I mean,
the biggest problem that I have with that, and it's mostly due to my wife, which this is awesome. Every time I show her something that is not a manual transmission, she basically tells me to go F myself. So she is like tonight because the Explorer. So my Explorer had a fuel pump go last week, covered under warranty, just one of those weird
All
things.
day.
Yeah. So my fuel pump was replaced. So I was driving the Genesis. I left it at the dealership. I brought my Explorer home, and then tonight we got a chance to go get it. So I asked my wife, I'm like, well, who's going to drive the Genesis home? She's like, me, obviously. Right? I didn't even have an option. And she was currently driving the Explorer, so I had to swap around with her for her to drive the Genesis.
First world problems.
So, yeah, right. So, yeah. But no, I'm lucky enough to have a spouse that supports and expects a manual transmission in the household. So,
yeah, but I mean, you still have a Porsche that you haven't built yet.
Would have been an exception to that rule. I don't care what she said. But
Did you see? By the way, we all went to. Well, Carmelo wasn't able to make it, unfortunately, today. There was a Cars and Coffee event this morning. Nick, Eric, and myself went to that event. Did you see the M5 that had a manual transmission? I don't know if you were peeking into any of the windows at the event today. There were like 3 M5s there.
yeah,
One of them had a manual. I don't know how.
Was it an older one?
It wasn't new. I don't know a lot about
I
BMWs.
want to
so
say
maybe.
what was it, Eric? Was it the F80 chassis? I want to say back then you could still order a manual on the M5, like the late the
There were
mid-teens.
3 M5s
Possibly.
there. One of them had a manual, and
Yeah.
there was a brand new M2, which I didn't know much about those, but he was driving down Alico with me, and I'm in my Buster ass Elantra. But I drive fast. This was an old guy, so he was like, flirting with me a little bit, trying to keep up, whatever. I drive a lot faster than most, I don't know, 65-year-olds do. But it was a badass car. Like that thing sounded really good. I'm pretty sure it has I'm sure it's a twin turbo straight six, just like most of the other badass.
All the M5. Would you say it was M5 or no? The two?
No, it was the M2.
The two.
Yeah, it was a two.
A straight two twin turbo straight six.
I think it was a twin turbo straight six.
One of the other cars.
It sounded badass.
On cars and bids right now is an 18 M2 black. That I expect to skyrocket, but I'm following things that are about 4 to 5 days out from ending because I should have word from Genesis by then of what's going on. And that's too quick of a turnaround. But I'm starting to just kind of follow what's going on. I'm watching the market kind of soften a little bit, but I don't know. Nice. Hopes and dreams right now. It's hopes and dreams until I have hard answers. But as much as those cars are badass, frankly, I hope they give me a transmission. And then I'm calling lap 3, and I'm setting up that Elantra N turbo upgrade. And I just got to have a custom intake built out to fit the bigger turbo and a custom downpipe to mate to my exhausts, plus the lap 3 ECU, and we golden. We should be about 400 crank horsepower before we increase fueling. So that's pretty solid for a little 2-liter, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so let's do a quick beverage recap here real quick.
It's about time.
Yeah. So I'll kick it off. I'll start off with the Dessert Station. Love it. Tried this one on Corporate Ladder a few weeks ago when we were there. This one's phenomenal. Tastes really good. Tastes exactly how it's actually described. I don't know what Corporate Ladder does with their beers, but whatever it is that's on the label, that's exactly how it tastes like. It tastes amazing. The St. Bernardus Christmas Ale, really good. It just tastes like just Christmas made into a beer. It's very spicy. It's just a lot of Christmas flavoring. It's really good. I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm probably going to end up picking up a couple more bottles, especially since we're coming up closer to the Christmas season the next couple months or so. So I'm probably going to pick up a couple of other ones. Mike, what about you?
A note about Christmas stuff. I went to the store today and they already have like Christmas decorations out, and I was like, God damn, it's like we're not even to Halloween yet, and like nope. You're selling Santa Clauses, like it's nuts.
I was every year, and like you said, inflatables on one side, Christmas trees everywhere, and a small little section for Halloween.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, we're not even there yet. We haven't even like bought the candy yet for Halloween, and you're already selling Santa Claus. Like, God damn.
But they already made
anyway,
2 years, so fine.
That's true.
No, there was a shortage 2 years ago. That's not true.
Oh, okay. A year ago.
It's all about the shortages.
Yeah.
So 2 beers. The Space Grass from Angry Chair was delicious. I threw the can away already. Otherwise, I would show that to you again. It was really good. It's a New England IPA. Really, really tropical fruit notes on it. New England IPAs are inherently like less bitter than like your average American IPA. So flavor profile was really good. Super enjoyed that one. The Tiki Sour from Corporate Ladder. Dude, this thing literally tastes like a pina colada. It's delicious. We've already talked about Corporate Ladder a couple times. We've already talked about some of their like dessert beers and some of the other things that they do. But like this thing is really, really good. I would recommend this, like especially if you're not a beer drinker. This doesn't taste like beer. This literally tastes like a pina colada cocktail. Like you just poured this shit straight out of a coconut with some rum in it. Like it's delicious. So
I mean, we're going up on the 21st of October for another street heat, some roll racing and drag racing. So hopefully we got some there.
I don't know that I'm going to make that, but I'm going to be up in Orlando on the 14th, the week before. Wife and I's anniversary is coming up. Actually, our anniversary is tomorrow on Monday. So, but we're gonna go up there. We're actually going to Halloween Horror Nights for
Nice.
Nice.
our anniversary. Should be fun.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good time. It's been like
I'm
I
all
don't know.
like,
I don't know how
now.
many years it's been. Yeah, I know. You got the Avenged Sevenfold shirt on, so
Fresh
Can't go wrong
from
with
the
that.
concert a couple weeks ago.
nice. All right, Carmelo, what do you?
That's that.
What are your? What's your recap?
So before I get into mine, I just want to ask Eric, what does Christmas taste like? Is it like a peppermint?
Santa Claus ball sack.
pine,
Sweaty Santa Claus balls.
Salt?
Uh-huh.
Nick.
No, I'm just kidding. No, like what? Seriously, though. I was being all professional about it,
Needs that.
trying to get like with the nose, and then we just
Yeah.
go.
I mean,
you say one thing and it just goes down quick.
I know.
So it's I don't know, just like Christmas spices. Like there's like it tastes like nutmeg and just
Nuts.
like
Nutmeg.
hazelnut.
Cinnamon.
Oh, whatever, guys. Cinnamon.
Yeah, that's what I think of. I think of that nutmeg,
Yeah.
cinnamon, that pine kind of.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
all of that.
Mm.
Like to me, I imagine that I just walked into like a a candle store during Christmas, and all those smells is what I'm getting now,
Yeah.
in my beer, but subtle, not like that's what I think of.
That's what this is. It's very subtle right now.
Yeah.
That's good.
Southern Tier 2 Xmas should be shipping in about 2 weeks. So,
Nice.
Order my keg.
You gotta
Damn.
get that
So-
warlock first, sir. So
I
then
know.
get
I
it.
gotta
No.
text him and see if he still got that sitting there, because unfortunately I don't think I can fit 2 kegs in my fridge.
Good luck, pal. You haven't drank all your pumpkin yet?
I think it's almost cracked.
Come on.
Dude,
Just
every time
go-
I go to number 3,
Yeah.
I buy more beer.
Just
so I'm
go
like,
get one right now. Just get up and go get one right now.
Mhm.
Just
wife's already working on that. But yeah, every time I go see Brandon at number 3, where I get my kegs, I buy more beer. So I have more shit to drink in my other fridge.
So he's good at his
And
job,
I
is what
know.
you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I know, but and then I choose to drink one of those instead of repetitively with the pumpkin.
wow.
Yeah, wow. It's more impressive if it's your asshole.
First world problem.
Hold on.
There goes
God.
monetization right there. There it goes out the window.
Thanks,
At
Mike.
least for this video.
But yeah, no. I mean, if I had, I almost need. You know what I need? I almost
his
need to
hair,
go
it's his
find another
beard.
mini fridge that'll fit a keg and just throw it in the
Ooh.
garage and have a spare keg tucked away untapped. But you've seen my garage. I don't really have the room for that nonsense.
No, don't keep it in your garage. You would have to keep that in your house, at least.
No,
At
but
least it
just-
needs to
just-
be like
just an
air
untapped
conditioned.
keg. Just an untapped keg in a small mini fridge in the garage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If it's in a fridge, perfect. All right.
But that's not a bad idea, honestly. I could literally just fucking buy a keg and throw it just in the dining room next to the kegerator.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I might have to. I might think about that. I might text Brandon tomorrow and see if he still got that Warlock he bought, just in case I wanted it.
Or just meet me there next week and we can go through it. We can figure it out.
Oh,
So-
Carmelo. Anyway,
Back onto the wine. Yeah, we've been having going on left and right here a couple times tonight, but anyway, the wine, it was good. It actually, I don't know if you guys, I know some of you guys have been to Cooper's Hawk, but this tastes strangely
Yes.
like it's the same wine, the same ice wine as theirs. So
I was just there a couple weeks ago. I had a glass of their ice wine, and it was delicious. I don't know that I've ever had an ice wine before that point, honestly.
Mhm. So
I've
ice wines,
had.
I don't know if you guys are big on them, but do you guys know how it's made and why it's a special variety of wine and why it's so limited?
yeah, I've gone through some
Am I?
classes on the whole thing and how to make it and stuff like that. Yeah, school for hospitality and beverage and entertainment management, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So I went through a lot of that, and then having made a shit ton of wine with my dad when I was younger. But yeah, it's a cool process for sure. The way they do it and concentrate the sugars by the cold weather and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I mean
I
they
don't
got to
know.
be picked under a
There's
surface
so many
temperature.
dessert
and-
wines out there, and I think ice wine definitely stands on its own. My issue is oddly enough, right? My wife's diabetic, type 1 diabetic.
Okay.
And she loves her sweets, but she does not like sweet alcohols. So I never buy dessert wines or ice wines or anything like that. I like them. I like ports and stuff like that, a little higher ABV and sweeter, but I don't ever buy them because she won't drink them. So I just kind of stay away from that, but I like them.
Oh, well, next time you guys come over for dinner, it's one of those, like, I always have a couple bottles. They're not all the same. I got a couple different brands on tap. But one of the things, like, this is, lychee, which is weird. I've never thought of lychee in an ice wine, but there's,
it makes sense.
Some candied orange peel, honey. It does. And the more I read the label after tasting it, it tastes the same as Cooper's Hawk. But, the fermentation process and everything with ice wines, and how, years ago, towns would know when, I think it was like -2 to -7 is when they pull Celsius, is when they can pull the vines, and they pull the grapes off. Towns would close, or I guess villages rather. Villages would just stop, and everybody in the village would go out and
it's such a small window.
Wines. Yeah, no, and that's just it. Everybody understands the importance of it, and it's definitely something that I was fascinated by. Saw a documentary years ago.
And for anybody like watching doesn't understand what they are. So if you find an ice wine, they're typically going to be a 500 ml bottle, sometimes smaller, right? They're smaller volume bottles, because what they're doing is they're taking the grapes, to Carmelo's point, they're harvesting them during the winter at colder temps. So the grapes shrivel up, which concentrates all the sugars and the flavor. So now they have less juice to work with. But because of the higher sugar content and the higher flavor content, they get a stronger tasting wine with a higher alcohol by volume because of the concentrated sugar. But it requires so many more grapes to make an even smaller amount of liquid because of how shriveled they are and how much they've shrunken up. So again, cold weather, kind of like what happens when you get in a cold pool. Whoop. But it's the same aspect of the ice wine. The way it kind of works is and just that concentration, and it makes for an awesome drinking dessert wine or digestive, something like that. Like, when I go out, I'll have one of those, or I'll have a tawny port, something like that. Great options for somebody looking for an after dinner drink that's not an espresso or something like that wants something alcohol based still.
Yeah, and it's not as strong as the coffee liqueurs. It's not like a Bailey's.
They can be close though. I mean, I think you're 15 to 17%, something like that.
Oh, I just meant like the harshness of the coffee.
Oh yeah. Way,
creamy, what I mean?
Easier.
If you're looking for something smoother, thinner, that's So Nick, how's your drink?
To drink, pretty solid. Hitting the Lagavulin now. I haven't gotten to the second beer. Probably won't at this point. But the 120-minute IPA, it's phenomenal every time I drink one. Definitely one of those, you find it, pick up a 6-pack or a 4-pack. They're not, I'll admit, they're not cheap. You're looking at, it's a $40 4-pack. They're $10 a bottle. For now, if they don't go up more. So it's not a cheap 4-pack. But they are, if you like an IPA, if you like the bitterness, the hoppiness, they are a phenomenal one to pick up. And I think they release 2, maybe 3 times a year. They're not a year-round thing. It's a limited release multiple times a year. But it's either quarterly or 3 times a year. I can't remember what it is. But definitely a good pickup if you like an IPA of sorts. And it's not crazy enough. To me, it's not the hoppiest IPA I've ever had. I've had some triple IPAs that are like a 90-minute type IPA, not from them, but from some other people that are like, whew. This is actually a very smooth, heavy Imperial IPA to me. And I would highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's a really good IPA. I love the 120-minute. Actually, Dogfish themselves, like they make some really solid beers. Like their
IPAs.
I had one during the podcast, Worldwide Stout. Oh, super good.
Yeah.
That's another one that's freaking solid.
Yeah, they do a whole series of some funky ones that are pretty good. But even their normal 60 minutes great. Their 90-minute is probably actually my wife's go-to when she buys it. As far as an IPA, she'll grab a 90-minute out of the fridge over almost anything else. The 120, we
My
only
favorite.
drink maybe one or so a month just because they're released every so often and they're tougher to find sometimes. But yeah, Dogfish, what are they? I think they're out of Maryland or something. So they used to be local to me when I lived up in Jersey. But yeah, they make some good stuff. Or Delaware, so even closer to home. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So back on car topic. So we did want to talk about going on a rant here. So we did want to talk about a couple of things here that we kind of did see on social media. One of them actually Mike did point out, which was the Mython EV. So for anybody that hasn't heard about this thing, it's actually a really cool little EV vehicle. It's literally like a one-seater go-kart with batteries on them and electric motors. It was built by a few students. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were students from Sweden in a college that actually built this thing. It kind of looks like a little what is that weird little funky thing that
Reminds me of a Lotus 7 to me, or is it 7? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a mini version of that.
Yeah, so it does kind of look like that. So the crazy thing is that this little thing, and they actually do have it timed, and I'll post a video, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more before I post a video. But it posted 0 to 60 in 0.9. What was the time? 0.956 956 seconds. It's insane. Like the G forces on that
absolutely
thing,
nuts.
Yeah, like the acceleration G forces have to be crazy, stupid. Like pulls you back to the seat.
Yeah, I want to see an accelerometer on that because I'm willing to bet the G forces that thing pull are the same kind of G forces that fighter pilots train to not pass out in. Like that's got to be intense.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
The article's saying it's just under 3 Gs, 2.96 Gs of longitudinal acceleration over the course of the run. Peak would be higher, but they didn't.
Yeah. Here's what's like super crazy about it. Like there are supercars out there, like not even supercars, hypercars that like I'm reading an article right now. A Pininfarina Battista will do the same time in 1.85 seconds, but you need $2.5 million to get that car. Rimac Nevera, which is an electric car, also on the same playing field, did the dash in 1.74 seconds, and it's $2 million. Like it's insane.
Well,
insane the amount of money people are paying for it.
Do we know how much it costs to build this little guy? And we also have to remember the cars we're comparing it to are street legal, all the creature comforts that you could ever want, and luxury.
Of course.
So I mean, there's some.
Yes.
But I want to know what it costs to build that little guy.
I'm reading the article now from Car and Driver. Yeah. And it's a 309-pound car, the Mython, with 322 horsepower. Oh my god! So it's a frame. It's basically like a sled.
So I was actually just going to bring that up, Carmelo, and I'm really glad that you actually read that because the car weighs 309 pounds, right?
It's better than the 1-to-1 ratio that Koenigsegg said is ideal.
Right.
But
that's like a little bit more than I weigh.
Yeah, hold on. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Pounds more than Nick and I.
Hold on. Here's the thing, though. Because in that article, it shows that with the driver, it weighed 396 pounds. So they used a driver, and I actually did the math.
An 80-pound driver,
an 87-pound driver. It was a girl. Like I guess she was like one of the students that helped build it.
Small Chinese girl?
No, she was like this, I don't know, like Swedish or whatever chick. Like, and she's in the video. I don't know, like if she'll actually be on the video, but if you see the whole video, which I'll actually add it to the comment section. It's like some Swedish chick, and she weighed 87 pounds. So I'm kind of not surprised that they got up to 60 miles per hour in like 0.956 seconds because they only use an 87-pound girl. And I imagine if it's like one of us,
that way, it's a 2-second car.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Power to weight. The power is, easily add, 30% more, 40% more weight,
Yeah,
if not almost 100% realistically.
yeah.
Like,
That's a picture of that thing.
That's
so it's
that's
not.
the car in question.
Yeah.
Car.
I mean, car,
Yeah.
car in
Did
question.
you guys ever see Cool
It's
Runnings?
insane.
It kind of reminds me of the Swedish bobsled.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just imagine piloting that thing. It's got to
Oh,
be
yeah.
insane.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It's great that it's been done, but I don't think you compare this to a car because look at how small the wheels are.
no,
The suspension
it's
on it.
it's not a operatable vehicle for like most people. But like, I mean, just look at the
It's
roll
awesome.
bar on it alone is like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like 2 feet above the person's head. It's crazy.
Yeah. One of the
But
things I was
these are
actually
done by
surprised
students.
looking at it is like I've seen different angles, and the wheels are small, right? They're also
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
that wide, and this thing accelerates like a bat out of hell, and I can't believe it
Yeah.
gets traction. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
and no, it weighs nothing, but still.
Right, so it's a
And
mix
there's-
of that
And
perfect
look at it,
balance
there's
of
no
weight.
downforce on it. Like, how the hell? I mean, I see these side
Well-
wings, the way they're, but like, what? Like,
I don't know,
it's,
man.
It's like anti-physics. Like, I don't understand.
it's
enough about
above the
this
ground. Like look
Yeah.
look at the center. Like the whole center of gravity on
The
that
side
thing is
skirts,
like
yeah.
an inch from the ground.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
The
she,
nose
she,
cone
she-
points
her
down.
her ass is an inch and a half off the ground at best.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the weight is like right off the ground, but I just like I mean that's insane. Like look at how tiny that thing is, but at the same time,
it's so
I mean it doesn't
fast.
weigh anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's not a lot to keep on the ground when you're talking weight. When you're talking a race car, when you're talking like a hypercar,
Mhm.
there's a lot of aero that is involved with keeping that weight, flush
right.
down to the
To
ground.
turn.
Yeah.
With this, there's not a lot of weight.
And
there's
well, too,
no
we don't
weight
know
at
how it
all.
handles. It could handle like
So-
garbage if it's
Yeah.
made to just go in a straight line.
Yeah, so here's actually a really good point that Mike and Nick kind of brought up, and it's the whole arrow thing. The reason why that thing doesn't need a lot of arrow is because it uses a system very similar to the McMurdy Spearling. So it uses a fan system. It uses a fan system to pull air
Oh, so
out
like a
of
vacuum
Oh, I didn't
that
read
pushes
that.
up or down.
out of the ground or from under the car. So I'm gonna post the video right here. And if you guys notice, you guys might have to rewind the video to see it because I pointed this out to Nick when we were at Spanish Marine, when we were down in Miami. When the car is on, like in the beginning of the video, you see it squatting against the ground. So you see like the suspension compressing and everything because it's pulling all the air from under the car. So it's pretty much forcing the car down on the ground so it can be as low, like have like the lowest center of gravity possible so it can have that quick acceleration. So it's pretty much pulling all the air from under the car. That's why the car doesn't need a lot of
Dude, I mean,
Wild.
that's a
Look how small
go-kart.
that is.
That's a go-kart with like
Atomic art. Mm-hmm.
a lot of electric motors.
And arrow. I mean, if you look at that nose, I know you guys said
Yeah.
there's not a lot of arrow, but there's gotta be. And I'm just surprised 309 pounds for a battery. I mean, the battery could be small if it's just a straight line, but a battery, an
Well,
engine, the tub, suspension, and a fan.
And I think it's probably enough battery just to get by with like one run, and then they have to
1 or 2
recharge it
runs.
for 2 hours.
Probably.
You know,
It's one of those ones like even with what you see, the roll bar and stuff like that, that's the last thing you ever want to lose control of and crash.
no,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Nah.
yeah.
Actually, Mike,
It's
can you
nuts,
zoom
man.
in? Can you zoom in on that picture if you can? Because that's actually showing the driver.
So
There's your 87-pound
look,
driver right there.
look at that. Yeah, look at that.
I mean,
mean,
you see
come
her
on.
next to like full-grown men that we were assuming are average
Yes.
size. Yeah, I mean, she looks tiny.
It's.
I mean, if you look at the laptop that the guy's holding, it's half the size.
Yeah.
Oh, they're using tire warmers too. That's interesting.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking go-kart. It's a go-kart that goes, stupid fast.
Really, really fast.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It really shows the the whole thing fits under a 10x10 like canopy tent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, it's
with
crazy.
room to spare.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look at the brake rotor is smaller than the palm of someone's hand. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's a straight line car.
For sure.
I wonder what the mile time would be on that.
No, this thing's never gonna.
Mile.
This thing's never gonna make a corner. Like, not gonna happen.
No. Not at all.
Pretty cool, nonetheless.
Yeah. No, for sure. But actually, I mean, I feel like building something like this would actually help with kind of pushing automotive engineering like that much further into reaching higher top speeds, because that's all what a lot of manufacturers really care about, is to see how quickly they can get from 0 to whatever mile per hour they can actually get. Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting to see what this car actually does to the whole hypercar. Yeah. Like what it actually does to the whole hypercar market, because I'm pretty sure like Rivian or Ferrari, Bugatti, McLaren, Koenigsegg, Pagani, they're seeing this video and they're like, students in Sweden
got showed up by kids.
Where pretty much.
I mean,
yeah,
but good for those students, man. I mean, that's
for sure.
And it's I think it's measured in the British, so it's 0 to 62. Which is 2 miles an hour more, but still that's impressive at 9/10. That's even more impressive in my opinion.
It's still a sub 1 second 0 to 60, which is just nuts.
But just to get that much more to that British standard, because those 2 mile per hour could have that could have made it or broken it. You can say it however you want, but that's phenomenal. Well, hopefully that'll inspire some people where these students get jobs where they can actually make differences in these companies, whether it's Tesla, Rimac, any of these major companies, where they, can, they're not thinking inside of the box that's pre-existing. They're going beyond that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So the next thing I kind of did want to talk about, which I sent it to you guys through social media a couple times, and it mostly caught my attention by the design of it, but it is the 911 GT3R Rennsport. So I'm going to put a sound or a video clip right here. And as you guys saw, the thing sounds freaking phenomenal. Like it's 611 horsepower and high revving NA flat six. The car comes with $1 million price tag, so that's one. They're only making 77 units, and it's pretty much a one-seater race car. So you're paying $1 million for a one-seater race car, but it looks incredible. It sounds incredible. It's the livery that's on the actual demo car looks really, really freaking cool. It looks amazing. But it's, Porsche, like they built a lot of like very eye-catching and beautiful vehicles. So it's not surprising that they kind of made a car that's
Yeah,
as
I mean
beautiful
the
as
whole
the
situation kind of reminds me of the Valkyrie from Aston, which I'm pretty sure is like a $2.3 million non-street legal race car.
Yes.
And man, all right. So I hate to say this, right? Like I love my Porsches. I think the Valkyrie is a better looking race car.
No,
I mean,
no.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Hold on.
You're not
This
wrong.
thing looks like
This is much money.
it looks like a wide 911, but it's correct me if I'm wrong. Eric, I looked at this a couple times, but it's naturally aspirated, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Inline six.
4.2 liter naturally aspirated flat six.
But it's like it revs out to like almost 10,000 RPMs.
Horsepower.
Yep, 9,500 RPM.
Yeah, but you know that these cars are sold and you have to be invited to buy. There's no way
Oh,
that anyone can
100%.
just walk in.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So,
But I
let me
mean,
ask-
just a naturally aspirated inline six, 9,400 RPM, like red
Flat-
line. I mean,
flat
it's just
six.
it's
I
just
mean,
a flat six.
look
Sorry.
at that boxer,
Porsche.
like that boxer engine.
It
What is
just
that gonna sound like?
screams. I mean,
that would scream at 5,000. I can't imagine 9,000.
no,
That would just
no.
be.
I mean, it's insane.
So let me
Absolutely
guys-
insane.
While we're talking about Porsche, let me ask you this. And Nick, I'm not going to ask you because you own a Porsche. Over the years, I mean, it's obvious, but as I'm getting older, more mature, I'm enjoying the finer beverages in life, right? I'm starting to
Bud
become
Light over
more
here.
and more fond of Porsches, like Porsche. Like the more that I look at them, I'm like, huh, maybe long term, maybe I could see that in my future. Where before I was like, this is just a highly modified Volkswagen Bug, or a highly evolutionized Bug.
Yeah.
Like now, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Like as you've gotten older, have you appreciated the 911, or have you always appreciated the?
So, I kind of want to answer it based off of like my personal experience. I
Yeah.
feel like as I've gotten older, obviously from my younger days till today, my taste in cars has, I guess, become a lot more diverse. Like I love all types of cars now, like older cars, newer cars, hypercars, exotic cars, supercars, name it. I love it all. Japanese cars, Euro, American. I mean, obviously now I have a Corvette and I have a Lexus, so I like Japanese and American cars. But when I was younger, I was all about Japanese cars. Like that's all I wanted. That's all I loved. And I hated anything that wasn't Japanese versus now, like I can appreciate everything, especially if it's been a car that's actually been built with a purpose, and it's functional. Like I enjoy it. So I feel like, you are 100% right, Carmela. Like as we get older, like our taste does change because, we just essentially mature.
I mean, on Eric's point, I agree 100%, and part of that is like you have like you look at like the Porsche 911, and you put that up to comparison to like a Corvette, right? Like you take a brand new 911 Carrera S, and you compare it to like a Corvette C8, and yes, the Corvette is way cheaper, and it's comparable amount of performance, but the 911 is just always going to be a purebred performance car. It's like a Ferrari. It's like these days it's like a Lamborghini. It's honestly it's one of the most sought after performance vehicles in existence. So I mean, I don't know. Nick,
Go
the one
ahead.
sitting in your garage,
Yeah.
you need to make something of it.
No. So
You need to do something with it.
I will.
Come on.
So I actually at work Saturday morning, we were a little slow in the morning. I was pricing out the full bushing kit for all the suspension, and trying to get in touch with somebody from Elephant Racing for all my poly bushings. But I will admit, up until probably my late 20s, I did not like Porsche, dude. I looked at them all the way through like the early 2000s and stuff, and what you said, Carmelo, to me they were a glorified bug. I never understood people's love of these things. And I got the opportunity to drive with you, actually. I think you were my passenger one day. I had that convertible, that cabriolet, Carrera S, 4S. It was a little rough around the edges, had some little interior issues and stuff like that. A funky sound coming out of the rear diff. But it was a fun little 6-speed 911. And I'm not going to say that made me find Porsche again, but as I matured, I just started to find a new appreciation for what they were, to Mike's point. A purebred sports car. You know, they're not all race cars, right? And some of them, to me, like your base 911, not modern, but your base like early 2000s and even the early teens, kind of fell flat. No pun intended on the engine. Just it was meh. And then we started to get the S's and the turbos and all that kind of stuff. They were just whoa, you know. And for a lot of people, yes, out of the budget, stuff like that. Well, I'd love like a pre like a 07, 08 Cayman S. That'd be great. It would be an awesome little car. But for the longest time, I thought Porsche was the stupidest fucking thing ever. I was like, I don't get it. I don't compared to Ferrari for similar money, to Lamborghini, right. You know, and this, we're talking about like the 360 Modena and stuff like that. Like those were just, to me, always superior vehicles. And then I saw when I got older and became a car owner, I'm like, well, you look at the Porsche, yes, there's maintenance to all of them, but the Porsche seems to have less expensive maintenance, performs similarly, is more affordable after the fact, well taken care of by their owners, where some of these Ferraris beat the piss out of them or don't drive them at all, which is also bad for them.
Right.
So,
or don't maintain them.
Right. I found a true love for them at some point that I did not have as a child, or as a teenager, or even as a young adult for the longest time. So they have grown on me greatly, and I love seeing what they're doing. But I'm still going to go back on talking about this, the R, Rennsport. I think the Valkyrie's cooler.
Well, hold on. Before we transition, I got one thing. The 911, definitely an acquired taste. It's a sport car, as Mike pointed out. And Nick, it's a sports car, and it's practical. I mean, at one point, I think Richard Hammond or somebody said that they had a test car and were able to, take their kids to school, and they're young kids. So it's one of those. It's practical. It's more daily, but it's a sporty car driven with a purpose. So Porsche, if you're out there listening, even though you're an acquired taste, keep being you.
Yeah. So what do you guys remember? Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear talked about a Porsche, and it's not that it's not. Is it the 928?
928, the dad story.
Yes. Yes.
The 928 dad story.
Oh my god, that story just like
right in the heart.
Hits, for sure.
Some of that, I'm not going to say that's the driving reason, but when I was younger, I didn't know what a 928 was, a 968, a 944, a 924, hell, even a 914.
I know. All
of these things I learned about after some of that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the reason, but when I found out about these front-engine Porsches from like the 70s and 80s and early 90s, that's what got me starting to look into like some of these different things, 924s, and then when I found that 944 chassis, it's like, that's it. That's, It checks off every box for my RX-7 boy racer once with the luxury gentleman driver Porsche aspect. It's got that awesome 80s look to it. They made some cool looking cars.
Let's go.
Let's get it sitting on wheels and suspension first. It's not even sitting on the ground yet. It can't sit on the ground.
Come on.
Let me get it there first.
Let's go.
Get it rolling.
How's he going to drive it with no motor, Mike?
Let's go.
Flintstone, buddy. We cut a hole and just
figure it out. figure it out. Just don't cut the wiring harness like you did on the Miata, please.
Well,
Please.
so this car is getting a whole new wiring harness. Comes with a swap kit.
Do it.
Yeah. I mean, my engine's gone. I rebuilt it and sold it, so that's gone. So this is getting from scratch. So
just make sure you put a turbo on the 5-cylinder, and then we're good.
That's the goal eventually. I want to get it running NA first.
No, come on. Let's go turbo.
That car weighs like 2,600 pounds and a 200 horsepower NA.
Hold on.
Awesome.
Everyone on this podcast and viewers can correct me if I'm wrong. It's easier to build a turbo motor when it's not in a car.
Yeah.
So build it before you put it in. Let's go.
No. Here's what everybody's doing. They're throwing one in NA, getting it going, and because the 5-cylinder Volkswagen engine only costs about $400, they're buying a second one. They're putting on a stand and building that exactly as they want it while they drive the car, and then plop.
Okay, just buy the motor.
It's only
and then do it.
$400. Why is it taking you 2 years to get a motor? You're saying you're going to get 2 motors. You've had the car 2 or 3 years, and you got 1 motor. You don't even got no motor.
The rest of the kit is another. The rest of the kit is another $8,000 for the rest of the kit. The engine's the cheap part.
Motor. Then you just proved Mike's point. He just
do it. Just do it.
Just get the engine. We'll put it in. We'll put it together. We'll put it,
right.
Bing, bada boom. Let's get it done.
And this has been Mike's part the whole time. And then what happens while it's still sitting with the suspension disassembled, but it runs? What do I do then? Just stare at it? I can't drive the running car.
But if the engine's only $400, you got tons of money to put in everything else you need.
Build the engine, and then put Racelands on it, and then figure it out from there. And then you're driving it. Come on.
Don't do that. Eric can comment. He was right.
It's getting
Eric, I don't know if you can hear me, but
ground control. It's getting ground control suspension.
You're right.
I've already got the rear. I've already got the front. I've already had the front coils. I have the rear coils picked out. I already own the front coils.
Listen. All right. The car is not running right now.
Correct.
Build the motor, put it in there, and then it's going to be running. But you want to build the motor that you want to end up in the car. So just build it. If you want to go turbo 5-cylinder, just do it. Just build it. It doesn't hurt anything. The car's not moving anyway. When was the last time you moved it out of your garage? When was the last time?
It can't sit on its own wheels right now.
Okay, so when was the last time you moved it out of your garage?
When's the last time it could move on its own wheels?
When did we trailer it to my house? When did we trailer it to my house?
Take the K-member out?
2019.
I think Everly was just born, so it might have been 17 or 18. So that's the last time it rolled.
We were doing it around the time we all got pregnant.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's go. Come on. That's all I'm saying.
I'm pricing out all the suspension bushings right now. I already have the rear coils picked out. I already have the front coilovers owned in my garage. I already have the calipers and everything. They just need new pads and rotors. Like, I've got a lot of the major components. It's all those little bushings that were removed out of my new aluminum.
See, those are all things to make a roller. You need to make
That's a big step for me on this car.
I mean, we've been looking for this stuff for years. I mean, it's clearly, but what are
that?
2 kids, income stuff. Now things are a little different.
I'll give you that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So here's the problem. If Genesis says, hey, we got you a transmission, that bitch getting a big turbo, ECU, meth injection, all that. If they can't, I'm probably next month buying the suspension parts for the Porsche to finish it, to create a roller. So it's those 2 things. When that bonus check hits in October, I'm either buying the shit for the Genesis to be 400 horsepower, or I'm buying the rest of my suspension parts for the Porsche. So that's where we're sitting right now.
How much power are you planning on making with this 2.5 turbo in the Porsche?
Reliably, I can do about
700.
If I do a forged crank, I can do like 8.
Just sell the Genesis, man.
No, don't sell it. Just leave it as is. Yeah. Put money into the Porsche. Then at least we can say it's not running, but it rolls. Now it doesn't roll.
Amen.
That's Amen. I'm not getting rid of the Porsche one way or the other. It just depends on order of operations.
Yeah.
So, you can't say you're getting rid of a
hold on.
Porsche at this point because it's just like a piece of metal in your garage.
Right.
So like, come on,
It's a chassis.
let's go.
I
Let's
mean,
go.
it's not even a Christmas decoration. They get used
If
once a year.
if I went all out and I bought that M5 at the auction, I was going to launch the G70 and the 944 chassis, and then that's it. Just have the M5 plus the Explorer. But things didn't, go the way I was hoping. So here's where I'm at. So it's up to Genesis first, because, and here's the key part: my wife loves the Genesis, right? So Genesis gets first dibs on the opportunities. But if Genesis says we cannot promise you a transmission, car's dead to me. It's done. I'm going to fix up the couple little paint chips, and it's either going to get sold at auction through the dealership, and I'm going to try and make a little money, or
If
it's going to Genesis.
If your wife loves the Genesis, why did you buy a Bronco for her?
The daily.
The dog.
She could have just drove the Genesis.
Yeah, I can't fit 2 kids and a 100-some-pound dog in the Genesis with me also in it.
It's fine. It's fine. There's like a middle seat area in there. You can just throw them in there.
They usually frown upon putting kids in trunks. My dog's bigger than both my kids combined. So
yeah, but they frown upon it. But
now when he sits in the front seat of the Genesis,
when have you seen someone pulled over and arrested for it? Just saying. Just throw it
let's not go there. I know some
Yeah, I was going to
stories.
say, let's. Yeah, it depends on how loud they're kicking the trunk and screaming.
Or if they pull the little handle in the back and they escape, it's bad.
That as well, and it glows in the dark, so it's easy to grab and yank.
Yes.
Oh,
So
does it really glow in the dark?
It does.
Yes,
Hey, come on over. I'll throw you in the trunk. You can see.
All right, let's go. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I'll be there in
I may have
20 minutes.
cut the cable in mine, but the handle's still there.
That sounds about right. You like to cut things, so
I do. I get
You like
snippy,
cutting
snippy.
Yeah.
Snip, snip.
yep.
So on that bombshell, Eric.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
So
Nice.
yeah. So I am gonna say one thing to kind of defend Nick, which is you made the comment, Mike, that it's easier to turbocharge a motor when it's out of the car. Based off of videos that I've seen for people actually building cars, it's more ideal to build a turbo motor when the motor's in the car, because if you're building, if hold on, hear me out. If you're actually building piping, you want the piping to follow the lines of the car.
Yeah,
not
that's
just
fair.
some
Yeah, but he's
random-
not building piping. He's just installing something he buys out of a kit.
Right. So
Yes.
I'd
Yes.
be mounting up the turbo and everything and the
Yeah.
manifolds and all, dropping it, and still have to build the piping.
Okay.
But there's enough
Okay.
guys that have done this now that it wouldn't be the end of the world. But just
Listen,
just
Nick,
just to
Nick,
prove
I was
Mike wrong,
I was
if go
trying to
that
give you
route-
the benefit of the doubt, man.
Oh no.
You're-
Just to prove
you're-
Mike
you're
wrong.
not helping out
if
your
you go that
case.
route-
Yeah.
If I-
Fuck
if
you,
I-
Nick.
If
we
I
should
go
have
this
just
route,
ended it when I tried.
no. Just to prove Mike wrong, if I go this route, I'm going to buy 2 5-cylinders at the same time now.
You
At the
won't.
same time.
Oh my
You
God.
won't do
I'll
it.
see it when I
I'm
believe-
bound to
I'll believe it
detonate
when
at
I
least
see it.
one of them.
Carmelo's
So,
got a point.
what's that?
I'll
We've been
see it
waiting
when I
years for you
believe
to buy
it.
one. We've been waiting.
Oh,
wait, let me rephrase it. You bought one and you didn't like it.
I bought 2, and they both showed up damaged, and they got sent back.
But that was years ago. I mean,
Yeah,
I know,
that
and,
just-
and I had a second kid, and I left dealerships and life changed. So, I mean,
Don't you work for another dealership again?
right, that's what I'm saying. And it's going better than the last one, so that's why I'm in a position where I can kind of look back at this and do this again. But so now I'm going to buy
What do you
more
want for the chassis,
expensive
Nick?
bushings
It's
and
not
shit like
rolling.
that.
You know what?
what do you
Just-
want for the chassis? It's not
just-
rolling. So what do you want for the chassis?
you know what? You know what's going to piss off all the Porsche people? Is just LS swap it. Just put an LS2 and LS3 in that
See,
thing.
they expect that. They don't expect a Jetta engine in it.
Yeah, but are you ever going to do it?
Well, it might be a Beetle engine, but you know.
I mean, come on.
Oh, so you're going back to proving my point that Porsches are just, evolutionized bugs.
I mean, in
Yes,
essence,
they are.
The fact that the
100%.
Beetle and the Jetta were the main cars for the 2.5, yes, that part is true. But I through
And
all
the
this, I did buy all the turbo suspension parts I need, except for the rear coils, and obviously bushings need to be replaced. So I have bought stuff for the car since deciding which route I was going to go. right? So I've changed the offset of the suspension. I bought all new aluminum arms to replace the steel arms. I have a full front set of Bilstein set up with coilover adapters on them.
How much of that is installed right now?
It can't be until I get the bushings. That's the problem. And
order the freaking bushings.
And here's the issue. At the end of the day, engines don't scare me. Suspension that the car actually has to steer on, that freaks me out. And I don't know.
Easy. I've been doing this
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm dealing with a 30-some-year-old car that doesn't have clear instructions on what parts I need to replace. So I've reached out to a guy that does this for a living to find out what do I need. Put me a shopping list together. If it's $1,500, just tell me what I need to build a street and track car and throw it in there. Like, I don't want soft rubber factory bushings. Like, what do I need to build a tight handling, grippy track car? So I'm gonna response.
I'm gonna be a complete asshole here.
Waiting for this response.
When
2 days.
yeah,
it's been a couple days. I just put this out there.
Part of that question, I'm gonna be a complete asshole here. How long have you had that car?
We talked about this 18-ish, 5-ish years. And in my defense, it's been a chassis since day one. The engine was never in it.
That's true.
Yeah, but we rebuilt the engine with you, so initially we were going to put the engine back in, and then that plan changed for power.
Yeah.
Well, if my 91 Miata didn't teach you guys anything about me, you should have known that was bullshit from the beginning.
Jesus Christ! Don't get me started on that thing again. Come on.
Yeah, that told you everything you needed to know about what I do to cars. I cut things, I hack things up, and I will admit, I don't know if I admitted this in the last podcast. Mike was right. I should have go-karted that bitch. The Miata, the first one, not my second one. The second one's very clean. I should have go-karted that bitch and hacked the body apart and just drove it.
Yep.
I had, when all was said and done, my taxes, buying the car, my title work, and fixing the misfire. I had $500 into this damn thing, and it ran.
Yeah, and even after you cut all of the panels off and carted it, you probably still could have sold it for like $2,000.
Probably. I don't want to talk about it because looking back on it, I realize I fucked up. Okay, I realize it.
All right,
Well,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Progress with
Progress.
with Nick admitting that he kind of fucked up with the Miata.
Oh, I definitely fucked up.
Okay, so the next thing I did kind of want to talk about was a manufacturer kind of fucking up a car, which is Tesla, and them fucking up the Cybertruck. So there's some been reports that have actually been released that the bed of the Cybertruck isn't exactly ideal to work around with. So one of them being that the tailgate is too damn tall on a factory vehicle. Is pretty much just a shoulder height. Nick, is that right? Is that where it was at?
Armpit. Now, to be clear,
armpit.
It was armpit on an average sized man with the bed closed, like at the top of it. So if you want to load over
that's
the
not
wall,
terrible. So you're talking about the top of the tailgate?
yeah.
That's not the end of the world.
Eric, are you on the drive? Scroll down some more. Whoever's on this.
Yeah, that's
look
Mike.
at that bed though.
Oh,
I mean,
It's not a practical
hold on.
bed.
Come on.
I don't disagree with the practicality.
Like,
Well,
look at
What
that
is the
bed.
dimensions?
I mean,
If that's
if
3x5, if it's a 3x5 rectangle, that's going to be a standard bed length, and I'm talking the inside.
No, but the problem is that it goes down at an angle too. So like
Right,
it's not like a straight. It
Yes.
goes down at an angle.
Like what
So
happens
you're
when you
very
want to pick up a new
free.
refrigerator and you want to put it into a corner and ratchet strap it down? That bitch is going to be like leaning out the side of the car. Like it's
Yeah, so you can see
So-
there.
How wide is that top panel?
So on the photo that I'm showing you guys right now,
yeah.
this was the point that I think they were making is like look at like it's almost shoulder height, on the length of the bed, like on the height of the bed. Like look.
Yeah, the
on
size.
I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but like
that's roughly where my bed is on my truck. I mean, I have a functional bed,
really.
but yeah, because I have the Pro 4X, so it's slightly lifted, slightly bigger tires.
But
Yeah,
okay,
it's-
But Carmela, we haven't
roughly-
told everybody that you're like 5'2", so
but
Nick,
Yeah.
we're only 5'2".
but yours is lifted though. This isn't lifted.
yours
Like,
is a factory
this is
off-road suspension and
Yeah.
it's designed to do some rowdy things.
this is just a normal truck. And here's the thing too,
Yeah.
like that bed, like it's not very tall,
Okay,
or like
so
the token isn't very tall.
I read something in this article to Tesla's defense. Apparently, the rear suspension can squat for loading purposes.
Okay.
I wouldn't be so
Um,
much, but apparently it can squat the suspension in the rear to help you load things. I think
Yeah.
it's still a bit impractical. When you look at the
Oh yeah.
the original design, squared out, a full 6-foot bed. Like, I mean, it made sense, but now it's just, with the angles, it's short.
have you guys also seen the I don't know what kind of composite they're making the Cybertruck out of, but like the metal, it's like a metallic. It's only one color. There's no colors available to it. It's just that like silver flat gray, if you will. Like what I'm understanding is like people are like joking about it, like it's like an old refrigerator, and like there's like anytime you touch it, the fingerprints are just going to live there forever. And
Yeah.
like it looks like that. I mean, honestly, it looks like my refrigerator in my kitchen. It's
I mean,
ridiculous looking.
My biggest
but going
regardless
to
of
the
the
DeLorean,
finish,
the DeLorean is not.
Well,
it's from the
the
80s.
DeLorean is from the 80s. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying
Come
the
on.
finish from the DeLorean never had the
when my
fingerprint.
fridge was built.
Listen,
So
times
here's
are
my
tough,
issue.
man.
Here is my issue.
I gotta have an
You look
80s
at-
refrigerator.
You look at any practical truck out there, it looks like a truck. This thing just, to me, the design looks asinine. I just...
So
to me, anyone that's buying this is not buying it because it's a truck. Like
they're buying it.
No.
It's just like people buying the Hummer. The same
No.
thing. The same people that buy
No.
the Hummer. They're not using it as a truck. They're
Exactly.
using it because it's an EV.
But
It's
there's a
cool.
difference because the Hummer also comes in a wagon, and I have owned an H2, and I'd love an H1. I see a cool thing with the Hummer. You know why? Because the Hummer existed in the past. The Cybertruck is a whole new thing that just doesn't... It's just a mishmash of Elon's genius mind. Also a little crazy. I love the guy. But it just doesn't make sense as a truck to me. I don't see it. And here's the thing, Carmel, you talking about the range, 600-mile range or whatever. Okay, so I work for Ford. We have the Lightning, right? And they've got a decent range. The moment you add load to these things, they are done.
Oh, it drops.
The range goes to shit. They no longer become a truck. This is for the guy that buy. I hate to say this, right? My buddy just bought a new Ram. This is for the guy that buys a Ram, limited, whatever. It's not a truck. It's a fancy.
It's a mall crawler.
It is exactly. You're not using it as a work vehicle. It is a fancy luxury looking thing with big ass screen in it, and you're not actually using it as a truck. You just want to say you bought one, and say you're a man, and you get out and you hop out, and you're 5'4" and you can barely get into the truck. Like it's one of those things, and I'm going to knock on Ram buyers because that's just the way it is. And again, we have the same buyers at Ford. Don't get me wrong, but it's a statement. It's not a really useful thing, and that's what I stand by. And I will say the same thing about the Lightning or the electric transits or any of that. It's too soon. They're not ready. They can't handle the load. None of that.
What? Hold on. You're going to throw the electric transit into the same pool as like the Cybertruck?
To the point of usability under the load. So if you take a transit, an e-transit, the electric one specifically, the moment you put shelving in it and load it, you get like a 90-mile range. It's useless as a work vehicle, and they're trying to offer it.
90 miles.
It's bad, dude.
Oh my!
So the moment you put a trailer or tools in it or it is once you weight it down to its capacity, it is almost useless for less than 100 miles. So in the Cybertruck, once it's loaded with a trailer or shit in the bed, is going to fall into the same category. Electric does not function well under heavy weight and heavy load. It sucks so much out of it. Again, there's a future for it, but we're not there yet, and we're rushing it, I think. And all the people buying it are buying the fanfare of the whole thing, and it's going to be a shit show in the long run until they figure out how to make them even more efficient under load. That is my thought process. And again, I sell these things, and I don't agree with the way the manufacturer's doing this whole one price, online only thing. I'm not saying they're even bad vehicles. The technology is great. I drove a Mach-E GT a few weeks ago as a demo for a couple days so that we could kind of test them out as managers. And it was a wild little ride. The tech was great. The screen and the layout, way better than Tesla as far as I'm concerned. And this little thing hauled ass, the GT specifically. It I don't know. I see the future in some of it, but I have an issue with the longevity of it at this very moment. Whether it's a work vehicle, a Transit, a Lightning Pro truck, a Mach-E, a Rivian, I don't care who makes it. We're not ready. And not just the charging infrastructure, the usability under load for heavy duty purposes is not ready yet. Now, Tesla has recently done some good testing with their semis, and they put up some pretty impressive numbers. And admittedly, I don't know if that was with a loaded trailer or just the semi by itself. But they put up some pretty impressive things. So for future use, it's coming. But right now, I think it's kind of dead in the water, and it's foolish to buy one. I'm just going to say it. For work purposes, if you're going to buy a Model 3 or something like that for a daily driver, or a GT, a Mach-E for a daily driver, a Lightning for a daily driver, and you're not going to really use it to pull, but maybe just put some stuff in the bed, great vehicles. As long as you have the charging setup ready to go. Outside of that, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of, talked about that, before, but
yeah.
On that note, that's all the time that we have for today. We've actually kind of gone on a very long tangent here tonight.
Way.
Drunken Mike is actually really funny.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey.
So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Yeah, the funds. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate all of our listeners, our followers, and subscribers. Don't forget to savor your brews. Hit the road responsibly. Also hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe. Please go ahead and share all of our content. Again, that's all the time that we have for you for today. Cheers to booze and cars, and we'll catch you guys next week.
BBC.
Woohoo!